Hello students, welcome back to MathFace Java programming tutorials. In this video, I'll be discussing returning primitive types while calling methods. The contents are introduction, method calling with return type without parameters, and method calling with return type with parameters. Let's see the contents. In the previous video, I have discussed how to call void type methods, and a return type determines whether a method is returning a value or not. For example, void M2, if we replace void with any primitive data type, that means the method can return such primitive data type. For example, main task calling the subtask, a primitive data type maybe int, long, float, double, boolean, char, any data type is mentioned in place of primitive. M2 is the method name. Inside the method, return keyword should be there and the type of the variable should be returned. Now, once a method is written, it can be called anywhere depending on the access levels. It can be called in the same class. It can be called in some other class from the same package or in some other package. In order to call a method, we need to observe three parts of the method. First one is a return type, second one is the name of the function and the parameters. Return type, name of the method, parameters. Let's see return type without parameters. Double pi is the method. When called, returns 3.14. So void is replaced by double. Void read method is trying to call pi method. We need to observe three parts of the method. First one is return type, that is double. It is returning a double value. So we need to store in a variable double variable. So double p is equal to pi, no parameters. Pi method name and parenthesis semicolon. Whatever is returned by pi method, that is 3.14, will be stored in the variable p. Then it can be printed. Or if a method is returning a value, then that method can be directly called from system.out.println. Here, system.out.println value is pi method is called. So the pi method returns 3.14 and that 3.14 will be printed by the system.out.println. The next type of method, return type with parameters. Give and take. Parameters are given to the method and method is returning some value. For example, int max, int a, int b. This is the header. By looking at the header only, we understand max is the method name which is trying to return integer when called. And also it accepts two parameters, a and b, which are integers. So in the method, it is written in such a way, if a greater than b, return a, else return b. And read method is calling max method, but it has to send parameters. Whenever we call a method, sending parameters while calling, then it is known as actual parameters. The parameters sent while calling the method are known as actual parameters. So if we observe return type, name of the method, parameters, return type is int. So int m is equal to, we try to store. Because max method is returning integer, and call name followed by parameters. Int m is equal to max cd. C is 5, D is 3. The contents of C are sent to int a formal parameters at the method header. Because we are calling max method. So control while transferring, C is being sent to A, D value is sent to B. Now the method starts executing and returns some value. What is the value? C is 5, so A is 5. 5, D is 3, so the contents are copied onto B, pass by value or call by value. So A has 5, B has 3. Now, if A greater than B, that means if 5 greater than 3. Yes, true. So return A. So 5 will be returned to M variable. And we are printing whatever is there in M, that is the maximum out of 2. Now, we'll see some Java programs. Before that, let's see practice exercise 1. Let's learn how to call methods. Before calling, we need to observe 3 things: return type, name, and parameters. If return type is void, that means the method is not returning any value. We just call with the name and send parameters if any. So first one, void HCF int a comma int b. In this, return type is void. So we start with HCF name and pass parameters. Let's say 5, 4, semicolon. This is method calling. These parameters 5 and 4, actual parameters, can be accepted from user, or we are just learning how to call. So I have given 2 integers because HCF is expecting 2 integer parameters and there is no return type. Second one, void type. So no parameters. I just call name, display, and then int a, one number, integer, semicolon. 7 is the actual parameter, whereas int a is the formal parameter. Now third one, void method again. Find is the name and 2 strings it is accepting. Let's say ABC, first string followed by second string XYZ. Any string we can send with a comma, semicolon. This is method calling. Now third one is search method. No parameters at all. So just name, void type, and then parenthesis, open, close, semicolon. Fifth one, void LCM int a int b. No return type. LCM is the method name and it is receiving 2 integer parameters. Let's say 3, 2, semicolon. This is how we call void methods. Coming on to methods that return values. Here also we need to observe return type, name, and parameters. Return type is int HCF int a comma int b. In that header or prototype of the method, we understand HCF method is returning integer. So we need to store or directly print in system.out.println. First we'll learn how to store. Int some variable x is equal to, we try to store in x whatever is returned by HCF method. So HCF pass 2 parameters 2, 3. So call HCF, send 2, 3 parameters 2 and 3, and whatever is returned by HCF method store in x. Similarly, the second one, that is 7th one, Display method is returning a string. So we need to store that string. Let's say string B is equal to display, and it is expecting one parameter, that too integer. So integer we have sent. The next one, returning char. So char A equals to, string is also A, let's change the name. B equals to find and one string. So this is how we call methods that return a value. Ninth one is boolean type, it is returning. So boolean some x equals to pause neg is the method name, and receiving one integer. So we call like this. 10th one is returning double. Double some d equals to average is the method name, and receiving three parameters with commas. So double D will store the value whatever is returned by average method. So average method taking three parameters and returning one double value. So far we have seen how to call methods. Now how to define methods. Prototype means method header we have to give. Prototype of a function check. Name of the function is check. Accepts marks in two subjects. It could be double or integer marks. And returns pass, a string, or fail. So this function header should be in such a way, string check and receiving two numbers. So header we are, or prototype we are specifying. Int b space should be there. And method definition we are not writing here, but this is what is the prototype. Check is the name which is returning pass or fail, so string, and reading two subjects marks. The next one is greatest is the name of the method, accepts marks in three subjects and returns the highest marks. If the three subjects are in double data type, returns double data type. Three subjects marks are in integer data type, returns integer. It's up to the programmer what he or she wants. So let's take it double. Greatest is the name of the method. Receiving how many? Three subjects marks. So double A, double B, double C. This is the header. So greatest is the method name, which is returning highest marks. If these marks are integers, the greatest should return integer. Otherwise, greatest should return double because the parameters are in double. So this is about calling methods and giving prototypes. Now practice exercise 2 is for you. You please take a picture of this and do the programs. Now we will see the programs, Java programs. Now let's see the contents of return max class, which has three methods. All of them are instance methods. First method is returning integer and maximum. This we have seen, max int ab. If a greater than b, return a. Otherwise, return b. Let's call this method. It is returning integers, so I have to store some x is equal to, int x is equal to, max is the method, and we will send, let's say 4, 5, which returns 5. Now, either we can display here only system.out.println max is plus x. X is the variable in which we have stored. Control K. Or what we can do is, we can directly display after calling the method inside the control C, control C, we can call the method directly by saying max and send whatever numbers you want to send. So, operator precedence, first of all, method will be called, whatever value returns, then it will take max is max. This is also okay, control K. Only returnable methods can be called in system.out.println. For example, if we want to call find method here, which is not returning anything, find, control K gives an error because void type not allowed here. If a method is returning some value, then only that can be called in system.out.println directly. But as a programmer, sometimes we want to save the value and use it somewhere in the same method or some other method. So such kind of situations, we don't directly print. We don't directly print. We just save. How to call a void method? Just say find. Control K doesn't give any error. Cannot be called in system.out.println. Now, factorial program, long, returning long. In BlueJ environment, when you call the method from the class that is static or any instance method also, if it is returning, it displays in the small dialog box. Factorial program, you must be remembering 1 to the number, multiply each natural number till the number, and then return factorial. Return factorial because long is being returned. Factorial is of long type. First of all, factorial is calculated, then return factorial. Now, right click here, long fact. Okay, it is asking a number. Let's say I say 25. So 1 multiplied by 2, multiplied by 3, multiplied by till 25. Answer would be very long. So that's why, see, this dialog box is returning whatever the value because of return statement. This can be called in some other method. But for practice, you can practice like this. Create a small method, see the output, whether it is giving correctly or not. The practice exercise 2, please do like this. No need of calling anywhere else. Just check a small program you write, whether it is returning or not. Now return pi. This we have seen already. Double pi, return 3.14, no parameters. So, but it is returning a double value. So in P, we are trying to store after calling pi. Value can be printed P or directly called. This I have explained already. Now see the prime number. Here, the main aim of this program is to display all the prime numbers in the range. Enter the lower limit. Let's say A is red. User has given 1. Enter the upper limit. B, 100 is the input for upper limit. And we want to display all the prime numbers in the range. So for loop, int I is equal to A, that is 1, I less than equal to B, that is equal to 100, I plus plus. Every time we are calling is prime method. Because prime method requires a for loop, either we can use nested for loops or we can call methods. But method calling is the better way. Why? Because we can test the method independently and call it in the main method. Now, in the for loop, if is prime I, this method will be called 100 times because it is in the for loop. Because A is 1, B is 100. Is prime is a boolean method. It is a boolean method which returns true or false. And if is written in such a way, it can take true or false. If true, print I. If false, do not do anything. There is no else. So first time 1 is not a prime number. False will be returned. So does not print. Next time I plus plus. I is 2. Is prime 2. Control goes here. N will contain 2 and program returns true. Prints if true. Then 3 is prime 3 again gets executed and then returns true. 3 is a prime number. Then I plus plus 4 is prime 4. Control goes here. Returns false. So does not print. 5 true prints. Now what is there in this is prime method? It is a boolean method. If n, that number, is less than equal to 1, return false. We don't want to consider negative numbers. We don't want to consider 1. But start a for loop. I is equal to 2. We know this program, but I'm explaining return false and return true. I is 2, I less than equal to n by 2, I plus plus. If n is divisible by any I, return false. Otherwise, return true. This for loop checks for based on that if, based on if return. So either false or true are returned because of boolean. Let's execute and see. Void main. Enter the lower limit 1, upper limit 100, displaying all the prime numbers between 1 and 100, between the range. So this is about calling. See here, this particular is prime method is receiving one number and returning boolean. Let's see the contents of class revision, in which there are two member variables are there, m1, m2. We will see main method little later on. Void call is a method, instance method, which can call instance methods as well as static methods. So in call method, I want to call read method. Read method is a void type method which is assigning 45 to the member variable m1 and 90 to the member variable m2, marks 1, marks 2. So because of the read m1 45, m2 90, I have called in call. Now I want to write one program, average of M1 plus M2. So in order to find average, I use M1, that is member variable, and then M2 in brackets. First of all, add them, divide by 2.0. Now, return that A, not 0.0, because this method is supposed to return a double value, and we have calculated average of M1 plus M2 divided by 2.0 formula and stored in A, return A. So in order to call such kind of method, I need to have a variable double sum B is equivalent to, call the method avg, and no need of passing parameters. Why? Because member variables are used by this method. So this is a void method. This is average avg method is returning a double value, no parameters. But we want to use this B. Why we have stored, I'm telling you here, in return grade method. This B we send to return grade, and I have written this method already. 90 to 100 A grade, 80 to 89 B grade, C grade 60 to 79, and so on and so forth. This is a static method returning a character accepting double average. So if average greater than equal to 90 and average less than equal to 100, return A, return B, depending on different conditions. Else return D. So in order to call this method, we need average to be stored, because we want to send this as a parameter, not just displaying. That's why I'm storing. So let me call char some grade G equals to, because this method is returning character. What is the method name? Return grade. Let me copy return grade, Control C, and call that method by sending average marks. Where are the average marks? Stored in B. So this is how we call. Now we are printing system.out.println marks M1 from the common variable, that is member variable, marks M2, because anyway read method has assigned 45 and 90. Average stored in which variable? After calling the method B. And grade, I can either take that G here or directly call return grade B over here, Control K, and otherwise also I can do Control C and place it in place of G and make it a comment, Control K. It works because it is returning. But definitely I want to store B, because B is used in return grade method. So as a programmer, either you can directly display or store depending on the requirement. And this call method can be called from main. All these methods, some of the methods are static. This method call is calling all the other methods. And I want to call this method with the help of R1 object. Why? Because call is an instance method. Object is R1. R1 dot call, call further calling read, and then average, and then return grade, and then printing. So Control K, and then try to execute this revision. There are two static methods, but we are interested in main method. Say OK, and it is printing marks 145, marks to 90, average is 67.5, and grade is C. This is how we call different methods. Refer chapter 3 of Essentials of Computer Applications for practice exercises. And the next video is about calling and returning built-in or user-defined objects. Thank you.